so there's just far fewer slots open. That, and also the fact that many university-based programs are funded. That's, you know, definitely a nice thing to have, to not have to pay for school, to get paid to go to school. And that's something to consider.
And you know, that goes hand in hand with some of the research orientation that I talked about. You know, if you're at a university doing research, often there's a lot of grant money and you can get stipends. You know, my program, I had to borrow a lot of money and use some savings, and it's expensive, so it's kind of a factor.
And what are the degrees that are offered at your program?
My school, the only clinical psych doctorate is the PsyD. They also do have like an expressive arts therapy master's degree, and I think that's all for clinical stuff. They have some other degrees that are more academic.
I know my school has a PsyD and a PhD, and there's more I'm aligned to. So what are the other ones we offer? There's more than just PhD and PsyD.
That's pretty much it, yeah. PsyD and PhD, right? Right. And we have some master's programs, but I can't keep track of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not to fill out that, but, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, sometimes you might wanna consider the degree and whether you wanna do, usually PhD is a little bit more research focused, PsyD is a little more clinical focused, so that might be another consideration on top of professional versus research. A lot of times, you know, both offer both, but just in making your decisions and also knowing, you know, researching like the back end, you know, knowing what career opportunities most people have who graduated from that program, and then also if the classes seem appealing to you, you know, are you feeling like the philosophy or the classes in this program are kind of more what I'm thinking versus the research institution or vice versa.
No, I would agree with everything everybody said. I mean, I think it's sometimes harder to get into university programs, but I think you need to keep in mind what you want to try to do. Not that you can't change, we all change. In fact, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do when I grow up. And so we change all the time, but at least you have a direction, and I think that should drive where you go. And I think the quality is no less. I've taught at the University of Chicago, and I've taught at the University of Missouri, and I've taught at Alliant, I've taught at other places. And I think Alliant's teachers are personally just as good as the teachers I ran into at the University of Chicago. And they're no different, except I think the Alliant teachers blend more having a professional practice and a professional orientation, and you know, they're usually practicing and teaching, and so that helps. You know, that helps a great deal, rather than somebody that has spent their lives, you know, studying just a couple of things and have not had the practical experience. So, and as far as the internships are concerned, our students, you know, get top internships. I also have been over several different internship programs at different places, and when it gets down to it, it's how a person interviews and whether you figure that this person can make a contribution in your clinic or in your setting. And so, you know, most internships really, when you get to the internship, they don't really distinguish whether you come from a university or for professional school. It's how you present and what your experience is and how you sell yourself. And so I just really don't think that internships really have an advantage toward universities at all. But I do think that if you want to teach like at Berkeley or Stanford or at an upper level school, well then you probably would consider more going a university route because that preference will stay there, I think, for academic work in higher schools. But a lot of PsyDs from you know, professional schools teach all over California and really all over the United States. So it's only upper level echelon schools, I think, that really you know, discriminate there. So,
Have the bias towards PhD.
or university training. Right. But let me just say that, you know, I think it's just as disorganized in university settings as it is. Maybe I should put it more positively. That's kind of interesting. But it's just as disorganized in university settings as it is in professional schools, because you still have people trying to manage their schedules so that they can teach and so that they can mentor students. And I don't think universities have any great advantage in that role over professional schools. It may sometimes maybe less. So, University of Chicago, you know, I mean, students seldom saw their teachers outside the classroom. And then sometimes we didn't even see them in class. And so, I mean, generally that's not the case with professional schools. So I don't think there's any difference in quality of instruction in my way of thinking.
So when an admissions committee is looking at your application, what are some red flags, things that you want to either explain away or try not to have in general, and things, you know, that highlight your resume, things you can do to make it look a little bit better?
Well, I would say the number one red flag is probably low GPA. If you can avoid having that, then that's a really good thing to do. If you have some really strong explanation for it, then definitely talk about that a lot in your application essay. Things that are really strong, especially if you're looking for like a PhD program at a university or something, being able to talk about relevant experience or at least interest you have that mirrors the faculty members there. Because a lot, especially university programs, are really looking for how well you fit with one of the faculty members there. And that's very, very important. So, having similar interests to the people that you're going to be working with is really important, something you want to highlight.
And I think, kind of segueing into that, just making sure that you're aware of what the school's specialties are and, tailoring your materials to fit whatever that is. And I know from people who have talked to me about their interviewing applicants or others, sometimes look at letters that are like, I'm really interested in this area and this is for all of my experiences, and it has nothing to do with what's offered, by the school. And that's an obvious no. So, if you're targeting specific schools, that probably won't be a problem. But if you're kind of blanket, sending out lots and lots of applications to lots of different schools, hoping to increase your chances, it's important to really know your audience, really know if they have what you're saying that you want, and if you are a good fit, the type of program or the type of research interests, or if you have a particular, if you're already familiar with some of the different orientations, theoretical orientations, and for example, the Wright Institute in Berkeley is a dynamic oriented place, and if you're talking on and on about CBT and how you love it and you're applying to the Wright, they're probably going to not take your application very seriously.
Here's where I kind of promote career services. I was saying, no matter what, get your resume checked, because you never know when you might have those glaring typos or you're not selling your accomplishments and really highlighting your strengths on your resume. So definitely come and see us. Cover letter, resume, personal statement. We can look at all three. We really look more towards the content in the personal statement. We don't tend to check for grammar, although most of us will say something. The Learning and Writing Center can help you with that. I do think that there are certain things to avoid, so I listed them here on page 3 or 4. Sorry, I should have probably the page numbers. But content to avoid, I think you want to avoid I always wanted to be approach a catalog of achievements so that you're just making a list, rather than giving them an in-depth example of one of your achievements. And I see this a lot, avoid lecturing the reader. So I see students sometimes saying something like, communication skills are an important aspect of this field. Well, most of the people working in that field probably already know that. And so really trying to demonstrate to them, your skills and not lecturing them on what a person needs to be in order to be a good fit. And I think just making sure that you're not making those glaring mistakes like you put the wrong institution in the cover letter. And you think that sounds so simple that you would never do that, but it happens when you're applying to a lot of different schools, and so it goes back to being organized again and double checking and proofreading.